Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Cathy and this is My Hobby Home. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day and coming and visiting with me. Today I am going to be doing another quick, easy Christmas gift. If you are into the crafting, this is going to be perfect for you. What I am making is what's called a Christmas pocket mug rug. This is not a free pattern. I am sure you can find a free pattern online. This one is not. I did get it at Etsy. I will include the link down in the description for this particular pattern. And I will check to see if I can find one that is a free pattern also. I already have, I have them laying on my little ruler here. I have all of my pieces laid out already for us to sew them. And I used everything out of my scraps. I do have some scrap bags that have Christmas fabric in it, so I just pulled from that as well. And I even have the Moda scrap bags. I pulled some fabric out of that too. So you can use any kind of scrap. So this could be a smash the stash also, using your scraps. So let me just get started here. The first thing it tells us is we're going to be using a scant 1/4 inch. So we are going to start by creating the mug. So I have got to unstack all of my fabrics here. This is my fabric for my mug. Now, of course, in the pattern, it shows using a dark color, but I wanted to use a lighter color and just kind of top it with dark colors. So the first thing we're going to do is put a top rim around our mug. So what I'm doing, I'm using a coordinating color, you know, just a color that's in my mug, and I'm just topping it. And I'll press it out afterwards. So see, I have a dark rim around my mug. And then we're going to make our mug slant in on the bottom. So we are going to sew this at a diagonal. I did not mark my diagonal. I don't know what's gotten into me lately. I'm getting daring. I'm not marking my diagonals. They seem to be coming out okay though. When it's just a couple, it's going to be okay, I think. I'm going to go ahead and do my second diagonal. I'm positioning my fabric has a print on it, so I'm positioning that print. Okay, so now we have the bottom part of our mug done. So I'm going to trim and press so y'all can see what this looks like. And now this is going to be very, very quick. So here is my mug. And let's check and see what our next step is. So guys, how are y'all doing today? You will be seeing this Friday afternoon. So I hope everything's going great for you guys. So now what I'm doing is making my handle. I'm just going to push that out of the way. And this is part of my quick and easy gift for you guys for Christmas. If y'all do a gift exchange with friends, family, office workers, you know, this might be a perfect little gift to give. Because I know at work, when I was in corporate America, which I'm no longer in corporate, but I still work, just not in corporate anymore, corporate America part anymore. I don't have to wear the suits and dress anymore, which I'm so appreciative of that. Not that I don't like dressing up. I do. I love dressing up, but sometimes it just got too much. But anyway, corporate America loves their coffee. Where I work now, my guys love their coffee too. But they're on the run. They don't sit at a desk. This would be perfect for someone that does a lot of computer work, or, you know, maybe somebody that reads. They can sit their coffee on this. But these are going to be really cute ideas here. What I'm doing here, I'm just going ahead and assembling my blocks. And it looks like the red that I have might actually create a run. It may run. I hope not. But it looks like it's kind of bleeding into my white when I sprayed it. I'm hoping it just looked like that because it was wet. I'm hoping that's what it was. So I'm assembling the handle area. I haven't gotten to assembling the pocket yet. I had that laid over there on that fabric, and I was fixing to say, my goodness, I know I cut everything as many pieces as I needed, but I couldn't tell that was a piece laying there because it was on top of another piece the same color as it. I did just press again, and this red is bleeding bad. This is a fabric that I had gotten from one of my Facebook groups. I don't know what kind of fabric it is. It's not a batik, but it's, well, I don't know. It could be a batik because it's acting like a batik. I like to keep all of my little strings trimmed here, or threads. And this is definitely going to be a quick project. I think what's going to take the longest is to back and quilt it. Well, this is definitely fading into it. So what I'm going to do now is attach my handle to my mug. I thought it would actually have a lot of thickness there and would have trouble, but there was no trouble at all. So now we're going to put our other side to our mug. Just going to line everything up here. So now we have our little mug, and we're going to make our saucer now, which I'm using a green with white polka dot fabric. And what we will do is put a square on each end to make our saucer taper. And we'll put another square on the other end to make it taper on that end. And you know, I'm fairly certain I have seen free patterns out there for mug rugs, and I may do another mug rug. I'm trying to find a pattern that I like, and I haven't found it yet. So I really like this one because I thought it was cute, you know, for a little hot chocolate coffee action going on it, you know. We're going to trim this up, get these threads off of it. I will trim and press and be right back. Now I have my saucer done. So what I'm going to do is just attach it to the bottom of our mug, and our mug section will be completed, except for I do have one more piece to put on the top. So we do have some thickness right here at the top with a seam. I'm hoping my machine makes easy work of it. Yeah, it's taking it a second to pull it through there. But now I'm going to add the last piece to the top, and we will have the mug, you know, the mug section of our rug completed. If you have several of these that you need to make, or several gifts, you know, like in an office or something, this would be the perfect gift because it is quick and you could lay your fabrics all out together and cut at the same time to make multiples of this. Okay, so here is our mug section. We will add this to our pocket section. Okay, so now what we are going to do is make the pocket. We have 2 squares here that we are going to put right sides together, and we're just going to sew down one edge to make that pocket. And then we're going to fold it together. I do need to press this to make it fold flat. Now that I have it pressed flat, what we are going to do is top stitch. It says top stitch close to the folded edge. This is my folded edge. I've got red. I've got white thread. We're just going to have white thread. So we're going to top stitch that folded edge. So I am top stitching at a scant 1/4 of an inch. Mine is going to have the white thread across the top, but that's going to be okay. Nobody's going to pay attention when they're setting a cup on it. So the next thing we're going to be doing, since we have our pocket part done, we are going to work on this is kind of like my background. So we are placing our pocket. I got a little fuzz going on it. We're going to place our pocket on our background piece here. And it tells me to baste along the raw edges. See if it tells me to do that at a 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to baste at a 1/4 of an inch. And all I do to baste is I'm just increasing my stitch length to 3.5. I'm doing it on that scant 1/4 inch. Making sure that we are lined up perfectly. Making sure it's laid out flat because I definitely do not want to mess this up. And I'm making sure my needle is going to go down behind my baste line. Because that way I know everything is held nicely. Okay, so I've got that basted on. I'm going to decrease back. So now what I am to do is to sew these 2 pieces together. These 2 right here. So what I'm doing is just matching my bottom edge and my top edge up. I'm going to get it on that scant 1/4 of an inch there. And get that needle going on in it. And once I got that needle in it, I can then get my fabrics straightened out good. There we go. I'm going to press this so it will be flat. This is what our top looks like. In a perfect world, this would line up with the top of the mug. It may take a little practice to do that. So our next step is we are going to sandwich and quilt. So it says layer mug rug top with batting and backing. So how I do this, I do my backing on the bottom of my stack. You cannot see this on my table since it is a paid for pattern. I try to keep my table where you can't see it so you don't see any measurements. But now I have to layer that. Have to make sure we're all lined up on everything because, let me just get my batting cut down to the same size as my backing so I can line up easier. And y'all, this is once again, the batting is also from my scraps. This is batting that was left over from a quilt that was sent to the long arm. I keep those pieces that I trim off for smaller projects like this, so I get my money's worth out of that batting. Because when I take it to the long arm, I just pay them to sandwich the quilt, and they use their batting that they use. And if I want something different, I'm sure I could take it up there and they would use it. But so far, the batting they use is fine with me. It works fine. It does what it is intended to do. So now that I have that all cut out, I'm going to place my top in the center here. And it says to use free motion quilting. We can't quilt on our pocket. So what I'm going to do, I'm not using free motion quilting. I am going to do a based stitch around the outer edge, and then I am going to stitch in the ditch, just kind of tack it into place good in the center. But yeah, it says use free motion quilting, and I can't do that because, well, I'm sure I could, but, and then we will need to also bind this, and I didn't think to cut my bind, but I'll get a piece and make some binding. But so what I'm going to start by doing is putting a based stitch at 3.5, once again, all the way around. And this is going to be at 1/8 of an inch, though. I'm not doing a scant quarter, because what I'm doing is doing it at 1/8 of an inch. So when I do bind it, the bind will cover it at 1/4 of an inch at least. Okay, so now since I have that basted around the edge, I'm going to do a stitch in the ditch right through the center to hold that in place. Now, using a colored thread on this would have been ideal, but that way this way you can see how my stitches go. Well, you can't, because the back actually has white on it too. So I'm going to trim this real quick. I'm going to get some fabric to do a binding, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I have my binding cut. I believe this is from the line Blizzard, and that's the same line as this one. I could have done my mug in the red, but I didn't. So it's going to be okay. Now, it is going to be difficult for me to bind this because it's not very long. So what I am going to do is start almost at a corner, because I will be machine binding. And I'm going to sew up to about 1/4 of an inch from the corner or the edge. I think I got a little closer than I should have there. But I'm going to sew right off that corner. This is the way I always machine bind. I always sew it like this. It's supposed to help with that mitered corner. I think I sewed a little bit too far, because it's making it kind of difficult to fold over here. But we're going to do the best that we can with it. Now, when I sew my binding, I sew it at a 3/8. Just because I find it looks better on the back side of the project, and it matches up on the front side. I need to keep my finger on that edge so I don't over sew it. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So I will just keep doing this all the way around. And this also came out of a scrap bag. This, I'll show you the bag I got it out. This right here is a Christmas scrap bag from Sweet Daisy Quilt Shop. Periodically, they will do scrap bags like that. You can get a Christmas, you can get a low volume. I have one of both. That's where I got my cream from. You know, when you have small projects like this, a scrap bag may be your best bet to, you know, have a variety of fabrics. And now it took me a good minute to figure out what I was going to be using to do my binding. So if you already have all of yours picked out, it may not take as long as it is me. We've been doing this. I've been doing this for about an hour now. But that's because it took me so long to figure out what fabric I was using for my binding. And then I had to cut it and press it. So if you already have all of your pieces figured out, this may take you 30 to 45 minutes to get it all done, because the sewing part has been the easy part. Now I like to press everything, so you know I'm going to have a little bit of extra in there on pressing. But the getting it to connect is my hardest part, because I always forget which direction I'm supposed to be. You know, opening my folded fabric to make it come out right. And what I'm going to do here is just barely get on the bind here. That way I have enough room. Okay. This may be a very tight thing for doing the binding, but let me find my center here. It's going to be right about where my seam is at, or my stitch in the ditch is at. So how I do this is I fold my two pieces in to the center. I leave about 1/8 of an inch gap. And then I'm going to press. Now that I have this pressed, I am going to take my little mug rug here and fold it in half. And I will clamp it. This clamp will just give me extra room, I'm guessing. It'll keep it out of the way for me. So now what we will do is open up our bind. Now this is where I always get confused. I'm going to lay this on my table, and what I do is I match the grooves in that cross section, and I pin the two pieces together. Now I'm hoping this is the correct direction. I am going to mark this. I have my marking pen here. Where's my little ruler? Marking tool right here. And yes, this is kind of difficult to do. I don't have it on a flat surface. I have it on my sewing table here, on my machine table, and sometimes that makes it a little difficult. So I'm hoping this is the correct direction. It's very possible it's not, but if it's not, we will just come back at it again. Gotta get that clip out of my way. And this is why working on small projects like this sometimes can be a little difficult, because it's just tight. It's a very tight area there. Okay, the way I test this, I do not cut anything. And like I said, this is probably wrong. But I take my pins out, and yep, it's wrong. it folds straight out that way, and that's not how I want it to do. So I have to take it out. Okay, what I'm going to do is try putting same sides together, right sides together, making sure I'm lined up there. Okay guys, here we go. We are going to see if we can get this done right this time. I always seem to mess up on that part of the binding, but you know, it's easy to fix. You just take it out, try it again, see if this is, now this is going to work. Okay, so the key, put right sides together, and I can trim this out, and we will finish this up real quick. I need to make sure it fits before I trim that, so yep, it fits really good. It may have a little give there, but it's not going to matter really, because I can get that in the, when I attach. So when I do that, you would normally press your seam open. I do not press mine open, but I do press it. And what I mean by I do press it, I press it flat. I don't press that open. So now we just go back, and I'm going to go back a couple of stitches behind that where I stopped stitching. And I'm going to continue at that 3/8. And what is happening is I am getting right here at the last stitch. It does fold over a little, so if you want to make it, you can always decrease that 1/8 of an inch. A lot of times I get off of that when I have to put the two pieces together, because sometimes I'm not exactly on that fold. But what we have to do is, I have my little dog ears here that I'm just going to trim off, so everything is nice and even. And now I'm going to machine stitch my binding on to the front as well. So how I machine stitch the binding to the front is, I'm just going to flip this over. I'm going to start at the bottom where I just attached it, and I am folding it over, getting on that my basting line that I did, because I don't want that line to show. So I make sure everything folds over real well. Now I will be able to see my stitch thread here, because it is dove gray and I'm doing it on red. So I will go around the complete project. I think I'm doing about an 1/8. I may be getting off that 1/8 just a little bit. But when I get to the corner, to make sure I have a nice mitered corner, I use my seam ripper. I know that's kind of crazy, to help me get a nice fold there. Can always catch that in the fold there. I am going to have to back up just a little bit, because I don't have enough room to get that corner how I need to. Okay, so I have it folded over now. I'm going to hold that down with my seam ripper until I get it under that presser foot. And I have the needle also in that fold. So now, since this is so small, I am going to go ahead and press that other corner down, because what I'm doing now is just pivoting, and I'll go on and get on this other corner ahead of the game. Okay, I'm folding over that corner, making sure it miters really nicely. And I just keep folding as I go to make sure I'm covering that stitch line, because we don't want that stitch line to show. Now granted, I have a white stitch line that's going to be showing because that's what I'm sewing with. Okay, so now we are on our home stretch. We are just about done. And here we have our little pocket mug rug. It's back there. It may not be the prettiest thing on the binding. This is the first mug rug I've ever made. I do want to make another one. It does look like the size of this is different, though. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, it don't look right. But it'll be okay for my desk. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate each and every one of you for checking out my videos. If you have not yet, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day. Goodbye.